Okay, so welcome to a bonus episode.
Yes, we're super excited.
I know, this is what we're going to call Coffee and Cryptids.
Coffee and Cryptids.
Where one of us is going to research a cryptic creature and tell the other one about it. And we might have special guests. Like today, we have my best friend, Brooke. Can I say your last name, Brooke?
You can say it, yeah.
This is Brooke Young, and she is the executive director of Visit Hopkinsville in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. So welcome, Brooke.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm so excited to be here, and you guys are doing a fantastic job with my skeptical sister. I think it's so hilarious that everyone gets to hear all these fun stories that I've gotten to hear. I'm learning new stories, obviously, but just feel like I'm in the room with you all, which is so fun.
Aw. That's so nice.
It is so fun. And while you can claim her as your best friend, she's also the sister of my best friend.
Yeah, Chad, who we have talked about.
Yeah, Chad. So, it just all comes full circle.
Runs in the family. We just really keep our best friends close.
That's right.
That's right. You must have been born into this family. No, Eric, we also have another sibling. He also can fall into that too.
That's
yes,
right.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
We like Eric, but no, I'm just kidding. He's my best friend too, right?
But we're really excited to have Brooke here because she is an expert on Hopkinsville, and that is where our cryptid is taking place, correct? I mean, I don't know much about it because you were the one that did the research.
That's right. This whole idea came about because of our awesome fan, Stephanie, who is a librarian and says she loves cryptids and she loves studying everything about Kentucky. And so she actually sent us the article, which was from, I have the news clipping,
wow,
which is where I did almost all my research.
That's so
from
cool.
The Kentucky New Era. And it was actually, this article was posted on Monday, August 21st, 1955, the day after the incident. So that's where I got the information.
This is so cool.
I know, isn't it fun?
Yeah, it's so fun.
So thank you, Stephanie, for sending that because I'm not a good researcher. So this will probably be my best researched episode.
Unless we just hire Stephanie to do all of our research.
Oh, okay.
As long as she's okay getting the $2, for every research.
That's right. We'll give you our tiny amount of Anchor money that we're getting. But thanks, Anchor, for giving us the money.
Right.
Yes. And thanks, Stephanie, for putting this on your radar because that's super fun.
I know. And I'm going to be really honest. We kind of switch in our skepticism. How do you say that? Skepticism.
Oh, look at me. I knew it. You didn't. Skepticism.
So while I believe in all ghosts all the time, I always want to think it's a ghost. I have a harder time believing in cryptids. And
I totally believe in cryptids. Most cryptids, I'm like, yeah, I could see that happening. And I don't believe in ghosts.
It's so weird.
It is so weird.
Yeah.
That is such an interesting take for both of you.
I know.
That neither of you believe in both of them.
I know.
Right. Isn't that weird? What do you believe in, Brooke? Ghosts, cryptids, all of it, none of it?
I tend to believe more in cryptids than I do in ghosts. I think if I did believe in ghosts, Erin can account for this. I am like a super scaredy cat, and so if I believed in ghosts, I think I'd be scared all the time.
Right. Yeah, I think that might be a little bit of why I'm the same way. I like to be tough, so if I open up that door of they exist, then I'm not tough anymore. So I just say they don't exist.
So you guys just don't believe in ghosts for self-preservation.
Exactly. It's survival mode.
100%, yeah.
Well, I had heard this story before a couple times, just kind of in passing. I'd heard maybe on a podcast or two or a little news brief or something, but I've never actually believed it. And then the more I read this, I thought, oh, okay, I could maybe get on board with this.
Really?
One. Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell us about it.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm going to jump in with my research. Yeah. If there's anything that I'm leaving out or you can add to this, Brooke, I want you to jump in. You're going to tell us at the end, especially about a day that they celebrate.
Oh, yes. Now that's the only thing I know about it is I just know of that day. So yeah, I can't wait to hear, but I've never heard the details of that day. I just know it exists. So I'm excited to hear about both. Let's do it.
So like I said, I got most of all my information from the Kentucky New Era newspaper. So is that a newspaper that's still running today?
It is, yes. And in fact, that is actually what brought us to Hopkinsville. So my husband, Chris, was hired as sports editor for the Kentucky New Era, and that is what brought us here back in 2014.
Oh, that is so cool. That's really neat that they're still going.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the story. On the night of August 21st, 1955, 2 cars full of 5 adults and 7 children pulled into the Hopkinsville police station very excited around 11 p.m.
Okay.
According to them, they had been battling 12 to 15 about 4 feet tall little gray men.
Oh my gosh. They were battling them?
Battling them.
Battling them.
With guns.
Shut your
For
mouth.
hours. 4 hours.
What? I've definitely never heard this story. This is crazy. Okay.
Okay, so
and think back in 1955. First, I mean, like, I know you said that, but like, think of that time period. So, like,
right.
processing that nowadays, you're like, huh, really? In 1955, you're like,
Right.
what?
Right.
I think what I like most about the newspaper is that it seemed so like, well, I guess this happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's no questioning
there's no disbelief in
it
it.
must have happened.
Okay, so the witnesses that we're going to hear from directly are Cecil Lucky Sutton, who is the owner of the house.
Okay.
And then someone who is visiting the family named Billy Ray Taylor. So if I reference either of them.
First of all, don't you love how southern those names are? Billy Ray, and then was Cecil Lucky?
Lucky Sutton.
Yeah, my name, my kid, Lucky Sutton. Love it.
So this happened a few miles outside of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, near Kelly, which is why we're going to get the name, the Kelly Green Men.
Okay, I was wondering. I thought maybe it was because there's a color called Kelly Green.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought maybe that they're very specific.
No, Kelly's a location, right?
Kelly is a location, and as Erin mentioned in the first paragraph there, they were like silver and gray. So the aliens were not even themselves green. So it's kind of like over the years, you know, people get this vision in their head. Even on this lovely shirt that I'm wearing, the alien is green, but the actual aliens, as Erin said, are like silver or grayish in color that they saw.
Well, and the one thing I did hear, like when Stephanie sent this to us, she said in the article, or she said in her own research that she had done, that there was a misquote, that they had actually said green.
No, they
actually said gray, but the reporter misheard and then wrote it up as green at some point, and then the green just stuck.
And green, that's where they describe all aliens as little green men, comes from this story.
Comes from this story. From a misquote.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay. Oh, this is great. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so let's see. 4 officers went to the scene in question. And then when they were on the way there, I guess they were talking over the radio, and other people were like, I'm coming. I'm going to see this. So state troopers ended up coming. It ended up like 15 officers were there for several hours surveying
on this person's
scene.
Land. Okay.
Yes. They were there for several hours. They didn't see any tracks of the little people there anymore, or the 4 feet tall men.
Okay. Gray men.
As described. Yes. But they did see like bullet holes and casings, and so they asked him, like, what happened?
We all did some acid, and then things got real crazy.
It actually mentions in there that there was no evidence of that anyone had been drinking.
Oh, okay.
That was actually forbidden on the farm, so they wouldn't. The woman who in the house was she was a widower, and she did not allow alcohol in her home, so they were not. None of them had been drinking.
That reminds me, when we went to go visit our other sister in Mexico, on our way down, we were like, oh, we're going to Mexico. We're going to drink the whole time. We were so excited. Yeah, the whole way. Like we got a margarita at the airport, and like, first of many. And we get there, and Kelly's like, by the way, there is no alcohol at my mother-in-law's house. She is very against it.
We're like, what? And she's like, yeah, I waited to tell you all that until you landed. We're like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Anyways.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a side note.
So this is all after the event has happened. Now I'm going to take you back to the witness account of what happened.
Okay. Yeah.
So around 7 p.m., one of the men had gone out to get a bucket of water when he saw what looked like a flying saucer land about a city's block worth away from behind their house. There was no loud noise or landing or explosion or anything like that, but he did hear a hissing sound.
Oh,
I know. Interesting.
It had a flat tire. All the way down.
That's why they landed here.
That's right. That's right.
Crash
landing.
And he just walked back inside with the bucket of water, which is just just going back to sleep, like they all do in our stories. And I just went back to sleep. No, he just walked back inside. So a short time later, someone in the house reported seeing little men with big hands and long arms approaching the house. Their eyes were large, hands disproportionate, and looked to be wearing metal plates. I don't understand what that means.
That's
Like metal
weird.
looking
Like
clothing?
maybe.
Or like armor, maybe?
I don't know, but I don't even know if I believe this or not, but could you imagine how terrifying that would be?
No, I can't.
And no cell phones. Oh, I guess they had house phones.
Right.
It's 1955. My mind went back to like way back, like prairie days.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they couldn't even call anybody. But yeah,
I don't know. They went. They had
Would
to.
have had a phone, right?
Yeah,
House phone.
surely
Yeah.
a house phone.
I guess. I mean, they drove for help. They
Yeah,
didn't-
maybe they did. Maybe, yeah, who knows?
Okay, so the men got their guns. One of the men. One of the like creatures pressed its face against the window,
Oh my.
and
God.
someone shot at it.
Oh.
Someone inside the house shot at it, which is where they saw the bullet hole going out of the house. And then they were like, "Did we get it? I don't know." It like disappeared. So they decided, okay, we're gonna go out and we're gonna check.
No,
Yeah,
no,
we're
you
gonna
don't
see if
do
we
that.
got it.
Oh my
So they
gosh.
walk out, and from above them, it said that there was a hand that reached down from the roof and grabbed Taylor, the visitor, from the hair and like tried to pick him up.
Oh my gosh, this is
I
a
know.
scary movie you're telling me about.
Oh,
Can you
And
imagine?
you all celebrate this every year? This horror?
We actually grab people. No, there is celebration. There's no grabbing people from the head, though.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
not- that
That-
doesn't happen.
Oh, that's crazy.
yes, I know. It's
So did
really
they?
crazy.
So what happened to him?
Okay, well, he got like down from being grabbed by the hair,
Okay.
and then they started looking around, and they said they were surrounded. They could see him in like nearby trees, on the roof. They're everywhere.
And this is 5 adults and 7 children.
Yeah, from what I could tell from the article, maybe you know more. It sounds like there were like the 2 men were maybe the adults
Like
were
the
all
families?
shooting, but like the kids were all in the family, or the family, all the kids were inside,
Okay.
and like the men were out shooting at these things.
Wow.
They started shooting. They shot one out of a tree. It fell out of the tree,
Okay.
but it just got up and then just went back like into the dark.
Oh.
So they're like, it didn't seem like we heard it,
Oh my god.
but it did go away when we did that.
So when they shot them with bullets, they actually it looked like the bullets were like bouncing off of them and like they would backflip. Like they weren't affected by the bullets. It was just like a
Backflip.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here.
How crazy would that be to see that? Something like you're trying to, protect yourself, thinking
Yeah.
this gun is gonna help me, and then they're just like doing cartwheels away from you. And just some things to note. So
Yeah,
one of
please.
the books that I read from Billy Ray says when he first saw it, he quote unquote said it was the UFO was real bright with an exhaust of all the colors of the rainbow. So I mean, I think at first seeing that, you'd be like, oh, this is interesting. Like,
Right.
it tells everyone else about it. And then all of this, things getting grabbed by the head. So you're like, this turns scary very quickly.
Yeah,
And
terrifying.
Yeah.
Really be alarmed by that.
Yeah.
And the age, I think, too. So Billy Ray was only 21, and his wife was there. She was 18. So, I mean,
Okay.
these are like
Yeah, adults. Young adults.
younger adults.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he was just visiting. So he was just visiting in town from Pennsylvania. So he actually didn't live there. So this is just his introduction to visiting.
Oh my gosh. She's like, I'm never going back to that place again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's a lovely place, though. Everybody
It's a
should
lovely
visit
place.
Hopkinsville. I forgot that we're talking to the director of tourism. Definitely go.
Right.
They no longer grab you by the head there. That was just a one-time. Yes.
Okay, so it says the battle continued for a long time, like several hours, about 4 hours. And they went through about 4 boxes of shells.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. The officers on the scene were reluctant to say whether or not they believed the events, but they did seem to agree that drinking was not involved, as we have now confirmed. And then there was a city, this is one of my last notes, so from here I'm going to let Brooke take over. So a city police sergeant named Officer Frank Dudas, I think was how I will say it. He was off duty that night, but he said that in the previous summer, him and another officer had seen 3 flying saucers.
Oh my.
He said, I know I saw them, and if I saw them, then the Kelly story certainly could be true.
Whoa, that last line gave me chills.
I know, isn't it wild?
Yes.
And coming from a police officer, too,
Yeah.
who would have been on the scene and would have seen them in person. I think it's easy to wrap our heads around. okay, well, had they been drinking? Well, no, they hadn't. Were they in an alarmed state? Did they see something that wasn't really there? But you're thinking 11 people to see something that wasn't really there. That's a big group story for them to all see the same thing. But to say, this officer had seen something the summer before, really.
Well, because my mind goes to, Brooke, like maybe it wasn't alcohol or drug induced, especially if all the kids, but it could have been like a giant hoax, like something to get attention, or we're all, we want, like, how can we get money or something? You know what I mean? Something like that. But then, then you add in that story of him kind of solidifying it. It's like, whoa, some activity might really be going on here.
Yeah, well, and the aftermath too, you'll find out they did not want money. In fact, they moved away from the house because they got so much attention. They did not want recognition for this. So, I mean, if you think about that argument, that is they ended up moving away. I think one article I had said within like 10 days, because the New York Times covered this.
My gosh.
We're talking, the entire country was made aware that this happened back in 1955. Wow. And another point of note that listeners may not know is that we are really close to Fort Campbell. So the Army installation is right here. And so they were also on the scene. So they came and checked everything out. And, as you would do if this was being taken seriously, and, they wanted to see what it's all about. And, this is one of the most well-documented alien sightings next to, everybody hears about Roswell and, how much alien activity is out there.
Wow.
So, Roswell?
Yes.
Aaron does. Yes.
You don't know about Roswell?
I mean, I'm sure I've heard of it. I kind of like things go in and then they go out. It's like I only have a certain amount of capacity for things to stick in my mind. Oh my gosh. Sure.
Well, this is a really well-documented case of that. And so, the Army came out and checked it out, and military police were out here, and I think that just adds to the validity of how real people really thought this was. And there was another quote that one of the police chiefs said, that he said, these aren't the kind of people who normally run to the police for help. So for them to actually drive into town, into the police station,
they were scared.
They were scared. They were literally scared for their lives.
Wow.
And so we always, so I have to first of all give a shout out to our local museum, the Museums of Historic Hawkinsville. They have a fantastic information about all of this, and their director, Alyssa Keller, can go into great lengths about this. But they have a question there that's an interactive phase that asks people believe it. Do you believe in it? You can drop a coin in or a little voting chip in yes or no. And a lot of arguments for yes are, you have to think about, if you were in your own house and if it was a hoax, would you shoot from the inside of your house? Would you destroy your house from the inside?
Right,
you'd be really convicted. You'd be really strong for convictions of believing that if you're shooting up your house from the inside.
Right.
Oh, that's interesting.
But another really interesting thing is that they didn't actually, so their legs were tapered, and they just kind of floated through the air. So it's kind of like they were just hovering above the ground.
Oh my
weird.
gosh.
Can you imagine?
No.
And so another theory that has been thrown out there was that they maybe looked like horned owls, which are these humongous owls.
Yes, Stephanie mentioned this part. She did say that they could have been owls. But so go on.
But grabbing someone's head, or still seeing the UFO and the rainbow exhaust. I mean, there's so many arguments for, the other things that happened and that we're seeing. I mean, bullets would bounce off of horned owls.
Sure,
it would
right.
backflip. So
and you would find if it did hit something, if it really did hit the owl and then the owl just dropped quickly, but it looked like it went back in, you'd find the body of a horned owl.
Right.
Or blood or something, so.
Yeah. I do have a picture that I found. This I didn't get from the article. I got this from history.com or something. I don't know. I didn't really cite that very well. But so this was the description from Billy Ray Taylor. So he described it, and it was drawn, and so they look wild.
That's crazy.
And then I also added a picture of the horned owls.
Okay. Well, that is the creepiest bird I've ever seen in my life. Now I'm I'm on the fence.
I don't know. I will.
Do they walk? Well, and I could see the hovering. They're flying. They're not.
Yeah, but
Right.
you'd see wings.
But also, why are all of a sudden these like gaggle of owls wanting to attack this house? Like, what
Right.
did they do to the
A
owls?
gaggle of owls. I'm sure that's what they're called.
It's a gaggle of geese. I don't know what the.
I think gaggle of owls is appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would go with that.
I'll put both of those up on Instagram and
Wow.
Twitter and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
So
crazy.
now, just a note, they obviously since 1955, they have grown into more of a friendly look. So when people are at our lovely Kelly Greenman.
Yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so every year in Kelly, so Kelly is just a few miles north of Hopkinsville, so it's more of a rural, and it's a small, unincorporated little town, and they have a park that they've dedicated that has a little UFO picture of the park, and
Love it.
every year at the festival they have a huge UFO that you can take pictures with, and the Green Man has, I'll send you I'm going to show you on my shirt, but I'll send you a picture. But it's kind of grown more into this like friendly character.
Yeah.
People, have costumes that they dress up in, and there are alien items people can buy. There is the retelling of the story from members of the family that are on the legacy.
Huh. No way. Like you can sit and listen to actual witnesses tell the story.
Yes. Well, it is Geraldine Sutton, who is like she is a Sutton, so she's a descendant of Lucky.
Okay.
And she actually does a fantastic job. She has,
I wanna
written
go.
books that
Yes, we are
listen to
going.
her, ask her questions, and she does a great job of just retelling and talking about the events and everything that happened. And then there's also, we are in the Bible Belt, so then there's just gospel music also at the.
Of course, it's where gospel and aliens meet. I love it. That is awesome.
that is really cool.
Yeah. And actually, it is the first event that we ever went to when we moved to Hopkinsville. So when we moved into town, it was happening that weekend.
Oh, how cool.
Wow.
So we drove out to Kelly, and that was the first event that we ever went to with my mom and dad and Chris. And we
That's so funny.
got
Were
our
you just like
first dose of-
wide-eyed? I would be like, this is awesome.
Where did I move?
Right.
I learned so much about alien. I mean, I didn't know that I needed to know so much about alien, but I did. It was great.
Yeah, well, if you're going to live there, you might as well learn about it in case they come back. Because while we've now, Hopkinsville made it very friendly, may we never forget, they grabbed a man by the head. So just,
I mean, they grabbed a man by the head who had been shooting at them.
that's true. Yeah, maybe they're like bees. If you don't try to hurt them, they're not going to try
Maybe
to hurt
they're
you.
like, oh my gosh, look at this cool barn.
then all of a
We
sudden
just
it's like-
landed, and they're like, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Wow.
excuse me, sir. No, you will not. You will not be shooting at my friend.
Ironically, for anyone that followed the solar eclipse that took place back in 2017,
Yeah.
the date of that event was August 21st, 2017.
Oh my
Shut
gosh,
your
that's
mouth.
spooky.
There was a big correlation, and we kind of, played it up and used the phrase or the slogan, were they just coming to check out their spots for that event, or they just wanted to see where the best viewing place was. So they
Wow,
Oh,
that's
that's-
really cool. Because I remember that being a big deal in Hopkinsville. Like I remember you promoting it really big and being on the news. So like, we know somebody famous.
I know. It was very cool.
So yeah, that's really cool. That correlation, too cool.
Yeah, I mean, we had NASA here. We had people from all over the world. We had people from 46 states and 25 countries that came to watch that. We had
Wow.
116,000 people. So aliens could have been here, and we just missed them in our count. But
Or they could have been like body snatchers.
They got in on it too.
Man, that would have been cool if your count also included and from such and such amount of planets.
Yeah.
Right.
Or just imagine if you had all those people there and then they came again. Like, prime
Right.
time. Yeah.
Ooh,
You should have made that happen, Brooke.
come on.
Called them up and said, hey, this would have been really a good tourism plug. Oh, man.
Next eclipse we have, I'll do that.
Okay, sounds perfect.
So another really cool thing, I know most people have seen the movie E.T., but before Steven Spielberg wrote and brought E.T. to life, there was another movie that he was actually going to do, and it was inspired by the Kelly Green Band, and it was called Night Skies, and it was going to be much scarier. So I think
Oh,
things were going to be scarier. It was going to be much more. I mean, I think about like the place that E.T. holds in like pop culture and mystery
Sure.
and, this like friendly alien. And I think that he kind of shifted to, after Night Skies, I think it was deemed to be, maybe a little too scary, a little too dark. And so then he shifted and made E.T. But it's loosely inspired by the Kelly Freeman, the movie E.T. is. So he kept that vision with him. And
I could see that from the hands. They do kind of look like ET hands.
Yeah, they do look like long arms. But now I want him to go back and make that other movie.
I know, right?
I feel like the world is ready for a scary ET.
So we need to get big enough in our podcast that we can have that.
We'll have him on as a guest, and we'll tell him when.
Well, fun fact: if you did want to be in a movie, there actually is a movie currently being made on this right now.
Shut your mouth.
Wow!
It is. We just held auditions earlier this summer, and there's probably going to be another round maybe this coming summer. So I'll keep you all posted. And if any listeners want to be involved, you can come and audition for the next movie about Kelly Freeman that's going to be made. So.
Oh my gosh, that's
so cool.
awesome! Yeah, please do keep us in because I'm always down for a lead role.
I am not. Are you going to audition?
I am just gonna watch from afar. I feel like I'm more of like a supporting.
Same.
If they need someone to like run away.
That's so cool. So they're filming it in Hawkinsville.
They are. They're gonna actually film it in Kelly. Is where they're looking to do it.
Wow.
And they've got some different sites that they're looking at around town. And
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That is really cool. I'm glad we did this now, so we're like ahead of the trend.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
That's awesome. This was so much fun. It's so fun to see your face always, but even more fun that you got to be a part of this.
Yes, I totally agree. Thank you for having me and for this fun discussion. I always love sharing. Hopkinsville is an incredible town. I absolutely love living here and getting to promote it. And this is just one of the many fun things. We have so many like supernatural kinds of connections. Our most famous resident, Edgar Casey, is known as the Sleeping Prophet, and he would go into these trance-like states and be able to tell people like things that were going to happen to them. And so we have a lot of like.
I'm sorry, we're going to need to hear more of that. This was supposed to only be a 30-minute segment, but we might need to hear a little bit more of that.
No, that sounds amazing.
Please tell us more.
Yeah, give us a little synopsis.
So have you ever heard the like story about going to sleep with a book under your pillow and waking up and like knowing every single
osmosis, right? Learning by osmosis.
Yeah, and so that actually happened to him. So he was studying with his dad one day and he couldn't retain any information. He's like, let me just go take a nap with this book under my pillow. And he did. He woke up and could say every word on every page and like everything that was in it. And so he is a fascinating guy. There's actually a school in Virginia Beach that's dedicated to his teachings.
What?
It's called the Foundation of Research and Enlightenment. And so people still follow his practices. And he was known as the father of holistic medicine. So he would go through these trances and then be able to tell people, before doctors could, if something was like ailing them or.
I'm so pissed that I never tried that.
Learning by osmosis. There's still time.
What if I was an expert? I could have saved so much time in college.
Right.
Man, that's amazing.
And so he was from Hopkinsville. How is he passed away already? I'm guessing. So what time period was this?
So this was like early 1900s.
Okay.
Wow,
that's wild.
That is so interesting. I did not know that at all.
Yeah. Well, again, come on down. You can come to the museum and learn all of this great information.
Yeah. What's the name of the museum again? Is it just Hopkinsville Museum?
It's the Museum of Historic Hopkinsville.
Okay, awesome. Very cool.
That is awesome. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for being our guest. You supplied us with so much more information, and it was so needed.
I'm so glad. This was so fun. I just love talking to you all.
Oh,
yes.
we love you
too. Thank you for joining us for Coffee and Cryptids.
La 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 la.